I, 40F, need some perspective on my current situation because everything has spiraled so quickly, I can barely keep up. I met Tom, 57M, about a month ago at a dinner party hosted by our mutual friend Mark. I wasn't even planning to attend that night as I had a presentation the next day, but Mark insisted, saying I needed to get out more after my breakup. I had ended a 5-year relationship with my ex about 6 months ago and honestly wasn't looking to date anyone. At the party, Tom immediately caught my attention. He was charming, well-dressed, and carried himself with confidence. Despite the 17-year age gap, he had this youthful energy that drew people to him. We ended up talking for hours about everything from travel to business. He told me he owned a successful company that operated in multiple states and had just bought a beautiful house in the suburbs. I work in corporate marketing in the city, and he seemed genuinely interested in my work, asking thoughtful questions about my career goals. By the end of the night, we had exchanged numbers. He texted me as soon as I got home, saying how glad he was to have met me. We planned our first date for that weekend. He took me to this expensive French restaurant downtown and insisted on ordering everything, including a $200 bottle of wine. When the check came, I offered to split it, but he almost seemed offended and said a real gentleman always pays. Looking back, this was probably the first red flag I missed. The next day, he sent a massive bouquet of roses to my office. My coworkers thought it was romantic, but it made me a bit uncomfortable since we'd only been on one date. Still, I agreed to a second date that same week. By the end of our first week of dating, Tom was already telling me he loved me. Not just casual I love yous, he went into this whole speech about how he'd never felt this way before and knew I was the one. I tried to laugh it off, saying it was too soon, but he got very serious and said, when you know, you know. After that, things started moving at warp speed. He wanted to see me every single day. If I had plans with friends, he would try to tag along or convince me to cancel. He started making future plans without consulting me first, booking weekend trips, making dinner reservations weeks in advance, even talking about which room in his house would be my home office when I moved in. When I expressed hesitation about any of these plans, he would get upset and accuse me of not being ready for a real relationship. I tried explaining that I wanted to take things slow because my last relationship ended badly. My ex and I had lived together for 3 years before I discovered he had been cheating with a coworker. Tom used this information against me, saying I was letting my past relationship issues prevent me from embracing true love. He said a real man would never hurt me like that and that I needed to let go and trust him completely. Despite my reservations, I found myself spending more and more time at his place. He lives about an hour outside the city in this gorgeous house, and he kept insisting I stay over. He cleared out half his closet and drawers for me, bought me duplicate toiletries, even got me my own coffee mug with my name on it. When I said it was too much too soon, he said I was being ungrateful and that he was just trying to make me feel at home. Last week really opened my eyes to how controlling he can be. I had to attend a major corporate event in Chicago, something I told him about weeks in advance. It was a huge opportunity for my career as I was presenting to potential clients worth millions to our company. As soon as I landed, the texts started. He wanted constant updates about what I was doing, who I was with, when I would be free to talk. During a crucial presentation to clients, my phone kept buzzing. I had put it on silent but could see it lighting up constantly on the table. When I finally checked during a break, I had 37 messages from Tom. They started with I love you and I miss you, but quickly devolved into accusations about me ignoring him and probably flirting with other men at the conference. I stepped out to call him briefly, trying to explain how important these meetings were. He said if I really cared about him, I would make time to check in at least every hour. When I said that wasn't possible, he got sulky and said fine, he would just leave me alone for the rest of the week since I clearly didn't care about his feelings. Things got even worse when I returned home. I had plans to attend a concert with my best friend Sarah on Saturday night. These tickets were purchased months ago, and I told Tom about them when we first met. He said it was fine because his college friend was visiting that weekend anyway. We made tentative plans to meet up after the concert. Throughout the entire concert, he kept texting asking when we would be done. Sarah noticed I kept checking my phone and told me it seemed excessive. After the show, Sarah and I were starving and decided to grab some food at a nearby diner. I texted Tom our location and invited him to join, but he refused, saying they were at a bar 30 minutes away, which was apparently the original plan I had ruined. I explained we could meet them after eating, but he just got more upset. Around midnight, he started demanding I come to his place. Sarah and I had driven together in her car, and she lives near me in the city. It made no sense to drive an hour to his place that late when I had to be up early for work the next day. When I told him this, he completely lost it. He sent message after message calling me selfish, saying I was throwing away our relationship, and that if I really loved him I would make the effort to see him. When I stopped responding, He started calling repeatedly until I turned off my phone. The next morning, he showed up at my apartment unannounced with flowers and tears in his eyes. He apologized and said he only acted that way because he loved me so much and was afraid of losing me. But within minutes of me accepting his apology, he started talking about how I needed to show more commitment to the relationship. He had already told his family I would be moving in soon. When I said it was too soon to live together after only a month of dating, he got angry again and said I was leading him on and playing with his emotions. My friends, especially Sarah, are worried about his behavior. They think he's moving way too fast and showing controlling tendencies. Sarah pointed out how he tries to isolate me from them and uses guilt to manipulate me when I don't do what he wants. I want to have a serious conversation with him about boundaries and taking things slower, but every time I try, he turns it around on me and makes me feel guilty for not matching his level of commitment. I'm starting to feel trapped, and we've only been dating for a month. How do I handle this situation without setting off another explosion? Update 1: I want to thank everyone who commented on my original post. You all helped me see that Tom's behavior wasn't just moving too fast, it was dangerous. I took the advice many of you gave about meeting in a public place to discuss boundaries. I chose a busy coffee shop downtown during lunch hour, thinking the crowd would help keep things civil. I was wrong. I arrived early and picked a table near the counter where the baristas could see us. Tom showed up 20 minutes late, already looking agitated. He had apparently driven by my apartment earlier and seen my car was gone, so he thought I was trying to avoid him. I hadn't told him which coffee shop we were meeting at until an hour before, because lately I'd had this uneasy feeling about sharing my plans with him. I tried to start the conversation calmly. I had even written down points I wanted to discuss, trying to be fair but firm. I explained that while I cared about him, his behavior was making me uncomfortable. I brought up specific examples: the constant texts during my business trip, showing up unannounced at my apartment, pressuring me to move in after just 6 weeks of dating, and trying to control who I spend time with. His reaction was scary. At first, he just sat there staring at me, his face getting redder by the second. Then he started crying. Not quiet tears, but loud, dramatic sobbing that made everyone in the coffee shop turn and stare. He kept saying I was breaking his heart and that he couldn't believe I was doing this to him. He said he had already told his entire family we were moving in together, that his mother was planning a welcome party for me, and that he'd even started renovating his home office to make it perfect for me. When I tried to explain that making these plans without consulting me was part of the problem, he suddenly switched from crying to anger. His whole demeanor changed. He accused me of seeing someone else, demanding to know who it was. Was it someone from work? Was it Mark who introduced us? He said my ex must have contacted me again. When I denied this, he called me a liar and said women my age should be grateful that a successful man like him wanted to take care of them. The situation escalated when I tried to leave. He grabbed my arm hard enough to leave marks and said we weren't done talking. A young barista noticed and came over to ask if everything was okay. I used this interruption to pull away from Tom and head for the door, but he followed me, still causing a scene. I thought that would be the end of it, but I was so wrong. That night, the messages started. Hundreds of them from different numbers since I'd blocked his main one. They ranged from lengthy apologies and declarations of love to angry accusations and threats. He said if I didn't unblock his number, he would keep coming to my apartment until I talked to him. He even emailed my work account multiple times. The next morning, I was at my desk trying to focus on work when my coworker Janet rushed in saying Tom was in the lobby. Before I could react, he had somehow made it past security and was walking toward my desk with a huge bouquet of roses. Then, to my horror, he got down on one knee right there in the middle of the office. He pulled out a ring box and started giving this speech about proving his love to me. My coworkers were recording it, probably thinking it was some romantic gesture. I was mortified and quickly pulled him aside to an empty conference room, telling him this was completely inappropriate. He said I had forced him to do this by ignoring his messages. When I firmly told him to leave, he refused, saying he would wait all day if he had to. He ended up sitting in the parking lot for hours. Janet and 2 other coworkers had to form a group to escort me to my car. When Tom saw us, he started screaming that I was turning everyone against him and that he wouldn't let me destroy what we had. Security finally removed him from the property, but the damage was done. The next day, my boss called me into her office. She was very understanding but concerned about workplace safety. She offered to help me get a restraining order and said they would update security protocols. I broke down crying in her office, finally telling her everything that had been happening. Our mutual friend Mark called me that evening with disturbing news. Tom had been calling and texting him constantly, asking detailed questions about my schedule, where I usually go after work, which grocery store I shop at, things that went way beyond normal concern. Mark was worried enough to warn me. I've blocked Tom on everything, but he keeps finding ways to contact me. He's created new email addresses, used different phone numbers, and even reached out to other friends trying to get messages to me. He's posted about me on social media, painting himself as the victim of a cold-hearted woman afraid of true love. Some of his family members have sent me messages too, saying I'm making a huge mistake and need to give him another chance. I've started documenting everything: screenshots of messages, dates and times of incidents, photos of the bruise he left on my arm at the coffee shop. My brother suggested I get a restraining order, and after today, I'm seriously considering it. I just can't believe how quickly this all spiraled out of control. A month and a half ago, I thought I'd met this charming, successful man, and now I'm afraid to walk to my car alone. Update 2: The situation with Tom has taken an even darker turn than I expected. After blocking him and filing the initial police report, things seemed to quiet down for about a week. I started to feel somewhat normal again, though I was still being cautious. Then strange things began happening around my apartment. At first, it was small things I could almost convince myself I was imagining. My welcome mat would be slightly askew when I got home from work. The newspaper would be in a different spot than where it was delivered. One morning, I found my recycling bin had been moved from the left side of my steps to the right. I started taking photos of how I left things before leaving for work, just to prove to myself I wasn't being paranoid. Then last Monday, I found a bouquet of red roses on my car, the exact same kind Tom had brought to my office during his proposal stunt. There was no note, but I knew they were from him. That same evening, I noticed a car similar to his parked down the street. When I took my dog out for his last walk, the car was gone, but I had this horrible feeling of being watched. I couldn't sleep that night and ended up ordering a security camera system on Amazon with overnight delivery. My brother came over the next day to help me install them, one facing my parking spot and another at my front door. I wish I hadn't looked at the footage after the first night. The cameras caught Tom coming to my apartment almost every night between 2 a.m. and 4 a.m. He would just stand there in the shadows, sometimes for hours, staring up at my windows. In one video, he actually pressed his face against my living room window and tried to look through a gap in the curtains. The most chilling part was realizing this had probably been going on for weeks before I installed the cameras. I took the footage to the police station immediately. While filing for the restraining order, the officer revealed something that made my blood run cold. This wasn't Tom's first rodeo. He had 2 previous restraining orders against him in different states, one from 2018 and another from 2020, both from ex-girlfriends. The officer said they would expedite my request given his history. The revelations didn't stop there. Mark did some digging and discovered Tom had been lying about pretty much everything. He wasn't a business owner at all. He worked as a regular sales representative for a company, not even in a management position. The house he claimed to own was actually rented. When Mark confronted him about these lies, Tom said he only pretended to be more successful because he thought that's what women my age expected. But the biggest shock came when Mark uncovered that Tom was still legally married. His wife lived in Florida, and they had been separated for 3 years but never actually divorced. Mark found this out through a mutual friend in Tom's college alumni group. Apparently, Tom had told some people at the dinner party where we met that he was divorced, and others that he had never been married. He had carefully managed to tell different lies to different people so no one caught on. When confronted with this information via email, since he was blocked everywhere else, Tom completely unraveled. He created dozens of new email addresses to contact me. Some messages were thousands of words long, weaving elaborate explanations for his lies. He claimed his marriage had been over for years, that his wife was the one refusing to sign divorce papers, that he had only lied about his job because he was embarrassed, and that none of this changed how real his feelings for me were. Then the messages turned darker. He started threatening to come to my workplace again, saying if I wouldn't talk to him voluntarily, he would make me listen. He sent emails to my entire team at work, telling them I was mentally unstable and making up lies about him. When this didn't get a response from me, he somehow found my parents on Facebook and sent them long messages about how I was making a huge mistake and they needed to help him save me from myself. The final straw was when he emailed me screenshots of conversations I'd had with friends on social media, private conversations from accounts he shouldn't have had access to. I still don't know how he got them, but it made me realize how obsessed he had become with monitoring my life. The restraining order is being processed, but my lawyer says it might take a few more days. In the meantime, I've moved in with my brother and his wife temporarily. I'm working remotely, and my company has been incredibly understanding about the situation. They've even offered to transfer me to our Seattle office if I want to make a fresh start. I feel like I'm living in a nightmare. How did I miss so many red flags? How did I not see that this charming, seemingly successful man was actually a lying, manipulative stalker? The police have warned me that people like Tom rarely stop on their own, and that his behavior is likely to escalate further when he realizes he's losing control. Update 3. I wanted to give a final update on my situation because the events of the past few weeks have brought some closure, though not in a way I ever expected. The restraining order was granted, and I moved to a new apartment in a secure building with 24-hour surveillance and key fob access only. My company has been amazing through all of this. They approved my request to work remotely most days and installed extra security measures at the office for the days I do come in. Unfortunately, Tom didn't respect the restraining order. The first violation happened 2 weeks after it was issued. He waited outside my new building for hours, trying to follow residents in when they entered. Security caught him and called the police, but he was only given a warning. The second time, he somehow got into the building by claiming to be a delivery person. He made it all the way to my floor before another resident reported a suspicious person. When the police arrived this time, they arrested him. While he was in custody serving his 30-day sentence for violating the restraining order, I received an unexpected email from a woman named Rebecca. She introduced herself as Tom's wife, not ex-wife as he had claimed. She had discovered my situation through one of Tom's family members and wanted to warn me about his pattern of behavior. According to Rebecca, I wasn't the first woman Tom had done this to. Their marriage fell apart 3 years ago when she discovered he had been dating multiple women in different cities, telling each one he was single or divorced. He would love bomb them intensely for a few weeks or months, push for serious commitment very quickly, and then become controlling and obsessive. When the women tried to leave, he would stalk them and try to destroy their lives. Rebecca had been trying to divorce him for 2 years, but he kept delaying the process by not signing papers or showing up to court dates. She had her own restraining order against him after he broke into her house one night. She sent me copies of police reports and court documents showing a clear pattern of escalating behavior over the years. The most disturbing part was learning about what happened to the last woman he dated before me. She had to move to another state and change her name after Tom kept showing up at her workplace and harassing her family. Rebecca warned me that Tom seems to get more dangerous with each relationship, and that his current jail time probably won't stop him for long. I took this information to my lawyer and the police. They're building a stronger case against him now, especially since this shows a clear pattern of escalating stalking behavior across multiple states. My lawyer thinks we might be able to get a longer-term protective order when he's released. I've moved again, this time taking my company's offer to transfer to their Seattle office. I didn't tell anyone except my immediate family where I was going. I changed my phone number, deleted all my social media accounts, and created new ones under a different name. My brother helped me sweep my devices for any tracking software Tom might have installed. The whole experience has left me with anxiety and trust issues I never had before. I jump at unexpected noises and constantly look over my shoulder. But I'm also stronger than I was 3 months ago. I've learned to trust my instincts when something feels off, no matter how charming someone might seem at first. I'm sharing this final update not just for closure, but as a warning to others. Love bombing and pushing for quick commitment aren't romantic, they're red flags. I wish I had seen them sooner, but I'm grateful I got out when I did. The police told me these situations often end in violence if not stopped early. I'm safe now, rebuilding my life in a new city and focusing on healing. Thank you to everyone who supported me through this nightmare. Your advice and encouragement helped me find the strength to get out of a dangerous situation before it was too late.